Good morning. So, as you probably all know, futures were down sharply last night, and no, they're not. They're coming off of their highs, but I was surprised to see at one point they were even positive after being down. Was the Dow down 500-600 points, something like that? Which raised the question: does Russia and the Ukraine even matter? Um, and that's what's been in the news. That's what's whipped it up and down, even intraday. But we've talked about this over the last couple of weeks, whatever the news has been, that the pattern has been following that of a correction. Uh, and we had talked about the pattern that should form here and the high and when it reached resistance and going down. And so last night, as the market sold off and reached support, they bounced up sharply. So I don't know if anybody heard any Russia news, but I turned on, the morning shows and looked on a couple of websites. There was very little there. Now, I could have missed it, but it just leads me to think that the markets are just following the technical pattern, reached the initial destination of this correction and bounced sharply from there after it had a retest pattern. And so now we'll see, as we always do, where this market is at the end of the day, what it looks like here. Now that it's at this support area and it's bounced, how far can it even hold on to this gain today? Is it a red bar at the end of the day? How far does it retrace, so on and so forth? So our weekly charts, and we'll see, again, we got a lot of days before we know whether this bar here is going to be a bottoming tail bar and a retest that would, at least in the short term, give us a thought that things could bounce back up to where. Right now, this has violated the trend. Ultimately, it may just go down here. Right? We really don't know. Point being, what I was hoping for was that prices intraday, while not overnight, would break down below this low, and then it would set up a short-term buying opportunity. Now, we've got this situation this morning. In any event, the hourly is still in a downtrend. It came off of the low, right, strong. We've got pivot highs and pivot lows opposing each other. It's consolidating. The question is, can it get above those highs and get deeper into this area of major resistance, or does it just, hey, we open up here and it's like, okay, technical bounce over, selling resumes, and back down it goes? So we'll see how that unfolds. Let's look at this as far as gaps, which would have been nice had it actually gapped lower down there and then broke the low, but we don't have that now. So prices are at let's call it 433, down a little bit, almost unchanged, just starting the day. So just going to the day chart, right? I got a 15-minute here, 433. We don't know. Think about it as if we don't know what happened overnight here. Right? So we're starting off with a chart like this where it's opening up, pretty much where it ended before the weekend. It's down a little bit. And so it would need to get above here to change a little of something. But ultimately, it's in a downtrend, and maybe we do. It just gets the resumption of the move down. It's like how the futures look here, breaks the lows, and down it goes, down toward the lows. And things on the day chart, 9:30 to 4 o'clock, we get a red bar at the end of the day, and everything just looks normal from this point of view versus the overnight, or hit the technicals area and bounce right back up again. So whoever that is, McGraw, saying Zelensky said he doesn't think Russia will invade the Ukraine. So was this just a just an exercise maybe to take everyone's thoughts off of Sleepy Joe's ineptness to inflation. I don't know. Anyway, we heard that troops were building, market went down. We heard, no, they're backing off. Markets went up, then they're not. Markets went down. Okay, so maybe that's wishful thinking on his part, McGraw. Who knows? Technically, excuse me. Let me get some water, please. There's still that uncertainty and prices are in a downtrend, and we'll see how the day ends. Yeah. SPX, I think anything below 4,200, I would consider a no-brainer. And you can go to 41.85, give or take. But I think anything below 4,200 will be a no-brainer today. 40, was it 40, above 44.50? With the futures moving up, you probably don't want to go there. But I think below 4,200 would be a no-brainer. That's what we always look for. It ain't going there. Again, you got to find that image to put on. I can post that on a chart. Don't go there, girlfriend. All right. Qs, same story. They broke the low and popped back up, and same intraday pattern going on here. Same hourly pattern, give or take. We'll see which way it goes. And Dow was down here, cleared some lows. You can see the same hourly pattern. It's interesting that the markets intraday are following very similar patterns. It wasn't too long ago they were decoupled from each other, and the Qs would, the NASDAQ would form one pattern, S&Ps would form another. Dow would be close to the S&Ps, but they seem to be moving in lockstep with each other pretty tight. Russell futures got down to the pivot low. Again, you heard me say it once. You heard me say it 10,000 times. Look to the left. No special proprietary numbers needed. How simple could it be? But overall, what do we have here? We've got a topping pattern, and we've got a weekly sell setup, which is everywhere you look. We got weekly sell setups. Some of these are not close to where we'd like them to have set up, meaning gotten a bit higher to roll back over. Sell setups that are so close to a prior low, you can get whipsawed. But in any event, we've got this, in this case, a breakout failure and then a breakdown, and there's a void below. And so many things that we looked at over the weekend have weekly sell setups, and that hasn't changed. Where are you? Cash. You can see it right there. Weekly sell setup. And where's IWM? Oh, there we go. IWM. 199. Down a little bit. Nothing has changed other than knowing what has happened overnight, which could just be a technical bounce. And we'll see how things unfold in the next 5 to 30 minutes. And Bitcoin, that's still down here. Same weekly sell setup, on support, bounced off of there. Crude oil moving back up. Well, if everyone really believed that nothing's going to happen there, Russia and Ukraine, this should be falling, and it's not. Maybe it's part of a topping pattern. It has gotten erratic. You can see how the bars here have little or minuscule tails and complete bars versus tails, getting more and more here. And now bars ranges are getting bigger and whipping back and forth. So there is uncertainty coming into this contract as opposed to the certainty that there was here as the way it was going up. Silver up, coming up toward that high, pretty erratic. I mean, these bars, these intraday moves are pretty significant as it whips back and forth, as well as with gold, but still, moving up there, clearing these pivot highs. It's coming up into some stiff resistance there. So, but still, it's a good start. And maybe if this Russia thing really does evaporate into nothing, this might come down pretty hard. We'll see. Right now, it's in a nice uptrend, and it's got to some resistance there. Ultimately, maybe because this tested it once right here, this pivot high, and now it's there. I view this as this initial push into it weakens that as a reference point since it was tested once, and then it pushes up into it again and the greater probability of getting through it. But the next stopping point isn't far away. Transports, topping, kind of a head and shoulders top. Every place you looked other than defensive sector over the weekend, consumer staples, and not that it looked great, but compared to everything else, I suppose you would say it looked great, but it wasn't a setup that was, hey, let's jump in there with this. And to cover here, I mean, we're going through these pretty quickly because everything looks the same. Our alert went off here, and look, next stopping point, if it clears here, reset that alert if you need to, see if it gets above this prior high and the next area. And interest rates, nope, pulling back in a little bit. Nonetheless, we've got the 10-year. You see how that's pulling in. It's made this big move. We went through the yield curves last week in MT Live. 5-year pulling in a little bit. It's got to 2%. Was a monster move for the 5-year. And of course, the 3-month pulling in a little bit as well. So we'll see how the day unfolds. We're going to be a little tricky, I think, with that overnight bounce. Maybe having put in some type of a low. I guess lastly, I'll just show you the internals here. They're relatively neutral. It formed this topping pattern that I thought it would. It's not into the lower bands. I'm still of a thought that this can go lower and come down here, and we can get the next buy signal from these internals, and we'll see where it all goes from there, especially with these weekly sell setups. All yours, Dan.
Good morning, here early. So yeah, I told Greg over the weekend, I was hoping for 1,000-point gap down, and it got to 600, and then I woke up and I'm like, what? It's only down 80, the Dow. So everything's just news oriented. So it's going to make it difficult for swinging, but we'll do what we do every day. And I said in the weekend video, I'm like, I have no idea where we're going to open here on Tuesday. None. What if he invades? What if he doesn't invade? What's priced in? But you heard it. So yeah, oil is strong here. Look at the, whenever I look at charts, there's certain concepts that just glaringly you think of different MT Live concepts. And this one is wide range bar igniting right here. From consolidation, flat MAs, that was an igniting bar. Some people might say, oh, that's extended, I'm going to get out of it that day. I'm like, no way, add to that. So now it's going sideways, gapping up here. Percent, it's a big gap, but still strong, all time frames. Kramer was on saying, bye, Piton. He did say he'll probably make another low and then buy more at 25. So there's no pattern here that interests me. But he also said, just, yeah, buy Pan W. He likes this. And in my opinion, he's obviously not looking at a chart when he makes that, because that's two nasty bars down. It's a sell setup in the weekly. It's extended on the monthly with a price void. I wouldn't touch that thing. Charlie Whiskey. No, not Charlie Whiskey, Charlie Foxtrot. 77, nice gap to Thursday and Friday's highs. It'd be a red bar ignored breakout. So this is on my long watch list. I have it in another window. I posted Macy's 30-minute high. It's not a decisive breakout, but it's just a bullish gap. But it's a big multi-month consolidation with flat 20 and 50, and with a breakdown failure, igniting. It's rebuilding. It's a bottoming pattern, but you got a big price void if it can break out. So I like that. These two windows here, AWI, not much volume pre-market here, but this is a descending triangle. It's a bearish consolidation pattern. You got bearish weekly, you got a price void. So this looks great under Friday's low. I gave a big list of 30-minute low short candidates. We'll go through the list and see which one of those might be call spreads also, but this is one of them. 3150 Billy, downtrend. It was a potential bottoming pattern, but there's really no something bar to get us interested on the long side, and then it failed. That looks lower. LNG is natural gas. It's sloppier. I like Charlie Foxtrot a lot better. But that's gapping up here with the Russian nonsense. NVIDIA, it's a bear gap. It's a 30-minute low idea also. Sell setup weekly. That's what Greg was saying. We were seeing these patterns all over the place. Just sell setups, top and tails. And you just need the daily to have a good pattern too. Lynn, gap in the 292. So that's a 30-minute low candidate. Fun. It does software or something or other. This is getting a pop. Along with the Trump company, DWAC. So that's a bullish gap. This is also a consolidation pattern, and above the 20. So that might be a put spread. I read in the paper they Apple started allowing you to download the app on Sunday. So I'm just assuming that's what's getting the excitement there. Medtronic, this looks great as a breakdown. I'm going to put that in the window. It's a breakdown. It had a closing breakdown on Friday, but look, bearish weekly. Gapping down here a little bit, so that looks lower. TRU, these are some earning stocks. I can't see where they're trading, but another sell setup on the daily. Sophie, $11. There's 30-minute low. See, bear consolidation and downtrend, sell setup on the weekly. Look, these are shorts. My short list is a whole lot longer than the long list today. WMB, another oil thing, gapping up on earnings, but no pattern. Too much resistance up there. MPC, another oil, Marathon Oil. Gap in the 79, no great pattern. Weekly is still extended. We'll come back to it. TPX. Gapping down $32. Wow. Wow, that's a big gap. Look at that on here on the weekly. That was another sell setup after breakout failure. Look at this. You got two 180 reversals. And then a retest of that one. Wow. But, you know, gap's too big. We'll come back to it. Door looks like late volume, spotty. Can't tell where you're gapping. I'm going to delete you. But you look lower too, daily, weekly, monthly. Val, can't tell where you're opening. This is a bear 1, 2, 3 sell setup weekly, but it has the support over here. We'll come back. Novin gapping down. I don't short stocks under $5, but that's a bearish gap. 30-minute low. Mid, no pattern. Yep, no pattern, sloppy. Home Depot, you know, it was right here in the turn. It had earnings. That's getting whacked, 333. 3/3. You know, we'll see what it does. Let it stabilize. Its cousin low is reporting earnings tomorrow, but that sure looks lower. So my bet would be, you know, cockroach theory. The two main competitors, there's, unless they make the story of, hey, I'm doing better because I'm eating your lunch, so to speak, then the cockroach theory is they should move together. There's one cockroach in a sector, there should be more. So my bias on that would be down into earnings. Dash looks lower, sure. It's right there at this gap support here, Wolfram. So maybe 30-minute low, let it prove itself that it can't bounce, and then we'll get a little more information on the broader market. Fleur, no pattern, but sell setup weekly, breakout failure. Friday's low, looks lower. Donut, no great pattern. DFIN, it's an ugly closing breakdown. We'll come back to you. There's not much volume. CVI gapping up 21, no pattern. Kerbal, we'll come back, no pattern. Ballard, I mean, there's no, and there's our AWI I like for shorting Friday's low. That's no volume, but it could be a breakout. Only 51,000, but that would be red bar ignored breakout. SOI, late volume also. Down $2, maybe a call spread. Let's say we'll come back. Gapping down 67. So here's another 30-minute low candidate and call spread. It's gapping under this base. So that looks good. I'm going to put that in the window. Next. KBR, nothing. Gelled, nothing. EXPD 108. Maybe 30-minute high would do a put spread. That's another weak stock, looks lower. ESPR, potential bottoming pattern, but it's slopping all over the place. A run alarm went off. That's a short watch idea. A dorm, that's potential bottoming pattern. But see, it's potential. There's no something yet. CFX, potential, CPB alarm. CPB, so we have this as a long calls. Run. Short idea. Hun. It's, I don't know, it's not a swing fur. Maybe it's a day trade, but I'm not crazy about it as a swing, although it is very strong daily, weekly, monthly, just because it's so far from the 20. But I do like the fact that Friday traded under Thursday's low on volume. So I don't know, let's look at it in 30 minutes. This garbage, wow, Yandex getting hit here. Down 10%, another sell setup on the weekly. Macy's DSKE. Now, we actually scheduled, or we're in the process of scheduling a bunch of MT lives coming up here since we had yesterday holiday. We got to catch up on some other stuff. And so we're going to do one on triangles, but it's going to be consolidation patterns, because that's what a triangle and a rectangle is. So this one's not a triangle, but it's a rectangle. Here's your flagpole, and it's a bullish rectangle, but it's bullish. DSKE. So I'm going to set an alarm just right at the top of the base, 11:55. And then we'll look at it if it hits. IWM alarm. This Medtronic, I said I had a bearish bias, but now it's perking to the upside, which is actually makes it better. Because then if it takes out this pre-market low, 99.50, then it looks good. Rocco, I think that is a fabulous idea. I think we need to ask her to put it on her schedule. So now when we see her today, remind me to ask her. Fang, yeah, Fang could be 30-minute high. I mean, it trades very, very whippy though. But today is a something bar, gap breakout, so it looks good. I'm going to put that in a window. OHI is a short idea. CAG. Yeah, I looked at that again on the weekend. It's a watch. XPH. Sell setup weekly. All right, this AWI I liked. Alarm just went off. See, it's falling too much now. See that? That was my favorite short new setup. Descending triangle. But Rocco, I'll talk about descending triangles, and we'll let Debbie talk about the other triangles, okay? Descending